Now, I'm actually curious, does this... No, they did not change the double chest texture. You know what, that's perfectly fine. What's up, agents? Zer here, welcome back to the lab. Today we are going to be looking at a resource pack that's simply called the Christmas pack. Now, what this resource pack does is it changes, well, mostly UI stuff to make it a little bit more festive, but there are a couple of in-game changes that have been made, not a whole heck of a lot. Like I said, mostly UI changes, but honestly, this makes it feel like it's better suited for the actual holidays. So this resource pack was created by someone by the name of Keyard. So huge shout out to them. Make sure to check their links in the description, as well as link to go ahead and download this pack for yourself. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that you may have noticed already is actually my hotbar. It has a little bit more color and texture to it to make it look a little bit more winter themed. That's the first UI change that they've made. And that's the only UI change that I'm going to make for the moment. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the rest of the UI changes after I show you guys the block changes. So there's technically only 2 block changes that have actually been made as far as this resource pack is concerned. Not a whole heck of a lot, I will readily admit, but like I said earlier, this is a mostly UI based resource pack. So the fact that they went ahead and at least changed a couple of blocks, despite the fact of how little has been changed, is actually kind of nice. So, as you can tell, I've got a chest right here. This is actually a trapped chest, and I've actually got a couple of items inside. I've got the trapped chest itself, which for whatever reason does not have an in-inventory texture change. I'm not entirely sure why, but I will go ahead and show you. Take a look at my hand. As you can obviously tell, it does have the actual texture change. Now, I'm actually curious, does this... No, they did not change the double chest texture. You know what, that's perfectly fine. Now, inside this, we also have ourselves the other item, which I actually technically already have on the ground to show you guys, and that is the iron bars. And as you can obviously tell, they did go ahead and change the inventory texture of this item, so at least they got half of that. I'll give them that. So this is what it actually looks like when it's all put together. This is supposed to be Christmas lights from what I'm reading on MCPEDL, and as you can know, this is actually what it looks like when you only have 1 iron bar. So I guess it's better than absolutely nothing, so it's actually pretty good. So as I mentioned, the majority of this resource pack is UI changes. So let's go ahead and open up the pause menu, and obviously part of my face cam is actually covering it up, but as you can tell, the Minecraft logo actually has a texture change to it, and this is something else. Here's something else that you're not really gonna notice all too often if you're actually on a mobile device and you're using touch controls, is the fact that these buttons are actually highlighted red, and normally in the game they're actually technically highlighted green. Obviously I have my Bluetooth controller, so I get to see this quite well, and if you're on Windows 10, and I'm pretty sure if you're on Xbox and Nintendo Switch, obviously you're going to be using game controllers as well, so you probably get to see this as well. There's also a Merry Christmas button down at the bottom, which unfortunately I can't actually scroll down to, unfortunately. And I did actually try tapping on it with my finger. It doesn't actually do anything. So there's actually another change that has been made, and that's actually to the touch controls, and I actually did test to make sure that is actually been changed. And the only reason I know the touch controls have had a texture change is the fact that I saw the texture change displayed on MCPDL. Normally I don't actually see the actual touchscreen controls because obviously I have the Bluetooth game controller. So I'm going to go ahead and briefly touch my screen, and the touch controls are only going to be on screen for maybe a second or two. I didn't actually time it, so hopefully you guys will be able to see it for a decent length of time. So yeah, that's what the touch controls actually look like. So they have in fact been changed. So there is actually two more changes actually that have been made to the actual game itself, and this actually isn't within the game, but obviously, as I mentioned, this is actually a UI change. This is actually to the main menu of the game, which is actually pretty cool. I have seen other resource packs that have actually changed the main menu before. It's not necessarily too uncommon, it's just not something I like to look at very often because not too many of them actually interest me. But what they actually did, all things considered, is actually pretty cool. So let's go ahead and save and quit and go back to the main menu of Minecraft, and you're going to get to see what actually has been changed. So as you can tell, they actually have a brand new panorama. The only problem with this panorama is that they didn't actually do a really good job of cleaning it up. I imagine they were probably using basic screenshots instead of like a 360 degree picture taker, which is perfectly fine, all things considered. They just didn't do a good job of patching up, but you know what? It's interesting nonetheless. And there's actually another change that's been made to the main menu, which is actually an in-game music change. So I'm actually going to be quiet here for a few seconds so you guys can hopefully be able to hear what the music change is if you haven't heard it already. So yeah, as you can tell, as I just mentioned, the music change, obviously it fits the actual season itself. And yeah, that's actually, as far as I can tell, that's actually all there is as far as this resource pack is actually concerned. So this is actually where I'm gonna go ahead and end off of it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure that like button. And want to make sure that subscribe for future content. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at agency30 to stay updated. This is the series. Thank you guys for watching, and with that, I'll see you guys later.
Yeah.